Hey, problem solvers! Welcome back to writing. Today we are going to continue our books on our persuasive books. And you guys have all chosen wonderful subjects for that. And I'm really excited to keep going. But in order to make a really good, solid argument, we're going to need to do some research into your subject because any solid argument is going to be backed up by facts. So, today, we're going to talk a little bit more about research skills, when it comes to the internet. Um, and actually, I'm going to show you an example because somebody really cool just messaged me and told me about this rock formation over in Northern Ireland that I've never heard of before, and it's fascinating. Let me show you. So it's the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland. And do you see how these rocks formed into hexagonal shapes and columns? I thought it was so fascinating. So I wanted to do some more research. So I went to Wikipedia because I know that Wikipedia has like information about everything. Let's read what Wikipedia has to say about this. The Giant's Causeway. Right, listen closely. The Giant's Causeway is an area of about 40,000 interlocking basalt columns, the result of aliens coming down from planet Mars and spilling their honeycomb cereal everywhere. The alien creatures were a peaceful people. They only wanted one thing: to meet an amazing group of human children known as the Epic Problem Solvers. Wait. But it's on the internet. It must be true. It's on Wikipedia. It must be true, right? Guys, anybody in the entire world can log in, can create an account on Wikipedia and completely change the information into false nonsense. I did this. It only took me like 5 minutes to figure out how to make an account and put on the internet for all to see that these rocks were created by aliens who visited Earth to see you. Does that make it true? No. So I'm going to fix this first off so that nobody else sees this and gets confused. And then we are going to talk about how to find a credible source on the internet, because there's a lot of false information floating out there. I wanted to do this because I wanted to show you just how easy it is for anybody to put whatever they want out there on the internet. That does not mean it's true. So how do we know if the information we're getting is true? Let's talk about that. I'm going to pause my recording for a bit and fix this back to the true information because I don't want to cause any real chaos. Okay, I fixed it. I put all of the information that was there before, at least, back onto the page so that nobody really thinks that aliens spilled their cereal to make these stones. So that was just an example. Now I really want to show you guys how, if I wanted to learn more about this Giant's Causeway, how I would go about making sure that I'm finding credible, or in other words, believable and trustworthy information. First things first, I am Xing out of Wikipedia. I know in the past we have used Wikipedia as a source of information and research in papers. And that's because you guys were just getting used to internet research. And it is an easy way to get information, but it is not credible. And you guys are building up your skills as researchers. And as real academic researchers, I don't want us using Wikipedia. You just saw firsthand how easy it is for anybody to put false information up on Wikipedia. So no more. But then how do we find trustworthy information? One thing that I like to do is look at the name of the website. So you can see that some of these websites end in .com, some of them end in .org. You're also going to find ones that end in .edu. The end of the website is a very useful tool. .com, anyone can make a .com, which means that if the website ends in .com, it could be from anyone. It could be from like a science fiction writer trying to pass off of their book as fact. And you don't want that. You don't want to get confused by false information. .org is a little more trustworthy. Org stands for organization, which means that a organized organization made this website and that you can trust their information. .edu is even better. .edu means the website is an educational, stands for education, is an educational organization, like a college. Most of the time they're colleges who have academic resources on their website. So if you can find a resource that ends in .edu, you want to click on that one. So that's one way to check for credibility. Another one is to know which sources are trustworthy. Like I said, Wikipedia does end in an org, but I know that they're not trustworthy. You know, this even gives me, like, I saw some Facebook links in here. I'm not going to click on anybody's Facebook. Anybody can post information there. But when I see things like SmithsonianMagazine.com, I know the Smithsonian Magazine is a real academic magazine and that they post credible information from real scientists. That being said, I can also go to the article that I'm reading and check the author. Who is this Julissa Trevino? I don't know her. I don't know if she's just like making this stuff off the top of my head or if she's a real scientist. I'm going to copy and paste her name into Google, and I'm going to read a little bit about her. Okay, all right. See, I see that she is a freelance journalist. Okay. Oh, she's published things in all of these magazines. That's really impressive. She's worked as a reporter for the Dallas Morning News. Okay, so see, she has some credentials. Now I feel like I can trust the article that she's written a little bit more. So knowing the author and knowing the source, Smithsonian Magazine, I feel like I can really trust this article. So when I give you things from Newsela, really a lot of news sources, those are most of the time credible and trustworthy. Two more things that I want to touch on before the end of this video when researching and making sure that you're finding a credible source are bias and comparison. Let's talk about bias really quick. We've talked about that word a lot in social studies. Do you remember? We talk about how bias or stereotypes or people's opinions can sometimes or oftentimes affect what they believe. So sometimes people will write out what they believe as if it's fact when it's not. For example, you know how some people trust CNN more than they trust Fox News. They're reporting on the same story, but they're looking at it from completely different points of view. And they're both stating their points of view as fact. And us as researchers, as nonfiction readers, it's up to us to follow up on those facts and fact check them to make sure that we're getting true information, real information. So even if an article that I do trust says something that seems suspicious, I might look it up from another source. That's where comparing comes in. Even if you're not suspicious of your source, it's important to get your information from more than one source. Read more than one article on your subject. If multiple articles tell you the same facts, that's a good sign. That means that it's easier to trust that fact as being true. If one article says something completely different from another article and you don't know which one to believe, that's a sign that you need to do more research and find more articles and see which ones are more trustworthy. And again, that's when you go back to checking the source, checking the website, researching the author. You can figure out which ones of these articles that are giving you different information are more trustworthy. Okay. Now, I know some of you, researching on the internet has been really helpful for your papers. If you are having trouble, remember, sources on the internet, especially EDUs, like educational college websites, they're most often written in a Z+ or about that reading level. So it is 1000% okay if you find a academic resource and it doesn't seem to make sense, or there are too many unknown words. Remember, we do know how to read nonfiction texts, and all of these skills are important when researching, but we also want to remember that it's okay to realize that a certain text is too challenging for us. If you are running into that problem, please let me know. News ELA is a really good resource to find articles with different reading levels. I can help you there. And we'll talk about other ways that we can find information that don't involve getting frustrated because we're trying to read a piece of text that's a little bit too high above our level. Does that make sense? I feel like I talked enough for one video, so I'm going to wrap it up now. But as you continue your persuasive book on these beautiful subjects that you chose, I want you to remember this. I want to make sure that none of you are using Wikipedia, please. It's an easy cop-out website, but it is not reliable. And I don't want anyone to accidentally put false information in their books. And I want you to use all these skills that I just told you. Remember, checking the source, researching the author, checking the end of the website. Is it a .com? Is it a .org? Is it a .edu? Comparing information amongst several resources. All of these things are going to give you true, reliable facts. All right? Sounds good. Come on back to Zoom and we will get started. Bye.